Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So let's talk about Emma Watson. Now, I did a video about her a couple of weeks ago. I was defending her when internet trolls were making ridiculous, baseless claims about her looks and trying to bring politics into something that was not even politically related. It was a bit absurd, so I had her back on that. But today I am returning with some thoughts about another issue. So this weekend, an interview with British Vogue from 2 years ago resurfaced on the internet. In the interview, Watson is being asked about trans issues, specifically bathrooms, and the pressure is on because her interviewer is a trans woman.
I know what the answers to this question will be, but, do you feel comfortable with me using a, female toilet?
Oh my God, of course.
But I would. Does that depend on me having had surgery?
No.
What would you say? I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but what would you say to those people who would have an issue sharing a public bathroom with me?
Oh my goodness. Say, that's another human being. I understand fearing what you don't know. I understand kind of being like, oh, I don't really understand about this, and I've never met someone. But go and speak. Go learn, go speak.
I am so confused.
Okay, so basically then she just keeps talking about learning and speaking and having empathy, yada, yada, yada. This whole clip is a bit ridiculous. Like, it is so dramatized. And the way that the interviewer asks the question, like, would you be comfortable with me using the toilet? It's like Emma can't answer any other way.
Yes, sir.
Just the whole thing is a bit strange, and I don't necessarily agree with Emma's sentiment, but I'm not shocked by this. Like, we all know she holds that position, and her delivery is so basic. It's like classic emotional yada, yada, yada. You guys know the drill. It's nothing new. The internet was immediately divided, and people were praising her as being like this feminist, pro-trans icon for answering a very simple question. And then people on the right, or people who just don't buy into this whole transgender craze, were calling her out and praising J.K. Rowling instead, who's very vocal in her support of biological women.
Perfectly not confusing.
So here are some of the tweets from the latter. Somebody says, Emma Watson is the child of 2 lawyers and has been making tons of money since she was 11. J.K. Rowling was a single mother and poverty-stricken, using public accommodations through her young adulthood. I don't wonder why they feel differently about sex-based rights. And it's an interesting point, but I also think it's important to point out that J.K. Rowling has now been very wealthy for a long time. I don't think that you need to be a specific class to have that opinion on transgender people. So it's interesting, but I get why people were kind of upset about that one. Somebody else said, Emma Watson is just following this stupid narrative because she will get canceled, and she's scared, which makes her a coward. What she's not saying is men using women's toilets is not only an invasion of privacy, but can lead to rape and other disgusting actions. Grow up, Emma. A little harsher, but, I agree for the most part. But honestly, when it comes to her, she probably fully buys into what she's preaching. Another one, Emma Watson is okay with men using public toilets because she'll never have to. Even so, she has bodyguards and a team for safety. This is the one where people are really angry. She's too privileged to understand the concerns of women and young girls who have to use toilets and changing room alone whilst men are there. And then this last one, I wonder if Emma Watson would look into the eyes of the young women beaten by Leah Thomas and tell them to just be kind, or the women in prison with male sex offenders, or the women raped on a women's hospital ward. That's it. That's the tweet. Like, her whole blanket statement about kindness and it being totally fine, like, that's wonderful, very sweet, but it does not and cannot apply to every one of these situations. Like, the world is just too complex, and the points that this person makes, absolutely valid. So then my entire Twitter feed was flooded with leftists attacking J.K. Rowling, stans, and claiming that we want Emma Watson to shut up and to not be able to talk about these things. Like, this person says, TERFs, women are being silenced. Emma Watson, I think trans people are great. TERFs, shut up, bitch. Okay, also for your reference, TERFs are trans exclusionary radical feminists, and it's basically the leftist slur for traditional feminists who still believe in true biological women's rights. Shocking, I know. It's basically what J.K. Rowling is. Another one, TERFs, free speech must be protected at all costs. Emma Watson says she isn't transphobic. TERFs, how dare Emma Watson speak like this? So people were obviously pushing back, but they were in no way saying that Emma Watson shouldn't be able to voice her opinion. This is a free country. Free speech is paramount she can go off and spew whatever she wants to say. I think what she said is pretty dumb and very emotionally charged, but I don't think that her statement has warranted this insane outrage from people. It's not surprising. She's using the same dialogue as every other leftist, and people on the right, we're not trying to shut her down. We're pushing back, but she's allowed to speak if she wants to. So people can all calm down. This is nothing new. And obviously, the right is pushing back, but that's just what it is. We are just pushing back, questioning what she had to say. We're not trying to shut her up. And that is what differentiates us from them. I still believe you're allowed to spew all of that if you so choose. I'm going to have thoughts about it, but I'm not going to censor you or shut you down or try to destroy your life. That's what leftists do. J.K. Rowling is back trending on Twitter, but to be honest, when is she not? I feel like at least a couple times a week, there are a few thousand tweets where people are either loving something that she is saying or threatening to kill her. But there is a lot surrounding her in general right now because she just released a new novel outside of the Harry Potter universe. It is longer than Infinite Jest, longer than the Bible, so that should give you a bit of perspective. And it is very loosely about an online personality who goes against a mainstream narrative and then gets a ton of hate. So a large portion of the book is actually hate tweets that are very similar to the ones that J.K. Rowling gets every single day. She wrote it under a pseudonym originally, then her name was leaked, and now people are attacking her because they're going, you're just trying to be a victim, writing about the hate that you get that's deserved, all of that stuff.
Stop it. Get some help.
So anyway, that's kind of the backstory, but now she's trending for something else. Alrighty, so this time we have two different J.K. Rowling hashtags that are trending. The first one, hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling. Pretty classic, we see that a lot. Number two, I can't stand J.K. Rowling.
How original.
Which really, I think you can kind of divide the people with common sense versus the absolute lunatics in our world right now based on this hashtag. Because J.K. Rowling is more of a liberal. To be totally honest, she supports abortion. She is a lot more liberal when it comes to economics, and she doesn't really get into politics. She truly just cares about sex versus gender and protecting women. So the current firestorm on Twitter started when a very small account, a trans activist to be very specific, posted a doctored tweet from J.K. Rowling saying that she had posted this and then taken it down. So here is what she originally said. Hashtag I can't stand J.K. Rowling because as much as people claim otherwise, this is a real tweet. And delete from her. That was presumably intended to be tweeted on an alt. My copy of the screenshot was made by somebody I know, IRL, who had notifications turned on and screenshotted it herself. So then she attaches this fake screenshot from J.K. Rowling where J.K. has presumably tweeted out a picture of a rainbow Harry Potter themed tattoo that says no one should live in a closet. And then the fake J.K. Rowling tweet saying, yes, they should. And then it's only a minute old and she already deleted it because apparently it was supposed to be on her alt because she doesn't want everybody to know that she's actually homophobic. No, you idiots.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
Like, this is the perfect embodiment of the left's caricature of J.K. Rowling. But honestly, not even just J.K., basically anybody that strays from their narrative. It's immediately like, oh, you are a villain. You hate everyone because you're speaking truth and common sense. It's like, no. She has a very significant problem with part of your ideology, but she's not a bad person, and she actually aligns herself with you guys a significant amount of the time. So then JK responds to the allegations of this fake tweet because the fake tweet is now getting traction. And as you can see, she tries to tag the woman who tweeted the fake tweet, but the woman has blocked her. So she cannot tag her. You do not see the hyperlink there. That is why. Anyway, she says, this is a fake tweet that was created when I deleted an entirely different tweet with a typo in it, then reposted. The creator claimed that this is what I deleted. I am asking you to delete this defamatory claim and acknowledge the truth. And she moved on and said, interesting reaction. And then you can see she's been blocked. And then she goes on to say, I just like to note that anyone can make a mistake on here. I've done it myself. Whereas this person has used a fake tweet to prop up her theory that I have an alternative account on which I am virulently evil. And then she posts a screenshot from this person tweeting out and saying, it really shows just how virulently evil her behavior is when she thinks she's using an alt. You people are just idiotic. And then she says, just so you know, I maintain an alternative account only to post pictures of my knitting. Currently working on a series of 1980s pop stars in 4-ply wool. Very reasonable prices. This is a joke. Please do not buy knitted 1980s pop stars because you think I made them. So she's at least finding some humor in this situation, which I always respect about J.K. Rowling, because even when she is getting death threats and people are saying, like, I'm going to kick you in the knees, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to kill you, all of this stuff, because literally those are the tweets she gets, she still finds a way to be positive, to make jokes, and to support the people who are reaching out to help her and support her. But back to the main part of the story. To top off this whole ridiculousness, she literally tweeted the exact opposite of that fake tweet in 2014. Here it is. This was on December 16th, 2014, and she tweeted this graphic. If Harry Potter taught us anything, it is that no one should live in a closet with rainbows. Now, whether you agree with that or not, whether you support it, whether you like J.K. Rowling, whether you don't, she is not homophobic. You liar! She has literally tweeted the exact opposite of the thing that you are accusing her of tweeting. And then, here's the kicker, it has been proven that this tweet is false because the person tweeted the same doctored tweet last year. Here's the person who found it. They said she tweeted the same tweet in 2021, but no traction, so she retweeted it again this year. This time got 7,000 likes. Trans activists just love to hate. Here is the tweet from last year. She goes, by the way, that fake tweet's attributed to me bit is probably referring to this tweet that she claims is a fake, though this particular screenshot was taken by somebody I know, IRL, who had notifications turned on for Rowling. I think she accidentally tweeted it on Maine. Like, are you that insane?
Yes, of course I am.
The definition of insanity is doing something multiple times and expecting like a different outcome. Are you insane?
Well, yeah, took you long enough.
Like, you're gonna try this bit again just to get some traction? And if you are gonna do that, like, lady, delete the evidence. Like, you are not only insane, but you are also a dumb internet user. And even though all of this has now been proven to be false, even though it is clearly defamatory, it has not stopped people from lashing out and using the, like, I can't stand J.K. Rowling hashtag. Like this person said, it is no longer ethical to consume or monetarily support any of J.K. Rowling's works. I don't care about death of the author. I don't care if you're purchasing used books. I don't care if your kid wants a Harry Potter birthday party. There is no more neutral territory here.
You are one pathetic loser.
These people live a very, very sad life. Like, you just said you don't want a kid to enjoy Harry Potter because you disagree with the politics of the author, who was not even political at that time, who was not even on Twitter in the 90s writing Harry Potter? No, that is just sad. Another person said, J.K. Rowling is a privileged, mega-rich white woman who has used her power to worsen hate at one of the world's most stigmatized minorities. She is no victim. Hashtag I can't stand J.K. Rowling. It really cracks me up, the people these days that claim that they are oppressed. Like, just yesterday, we talked about Lizzo accepting her VMA award and going like, we need to change the laws and vote for people who are not going to oppress us anymore. Lady, you are not oppressed. And you Twitter user, you are not oppressed either, because when every single societal and corporate institution is on your side, bending a knee to your ridiculous delusions, that is not oppression. You are now a privileged class. Another person said, if I stand with J.K. Rowling trending one more fucking time, I'm going to punch someone. Again, so pleasant. They're all very happy, peppy people. But something semi-positive did come out of this. Obviously, there were a lot of people tweeting out saying, I stand with J.K. Rowling. And there were a lot of very similar tweets of like, I can't believe that these fake tweets are resurfacing again. She never said this. We need to support her. But amidst all of this chaos, Marie Claire did a hit piece on JK and called her problematic and incredibly and increasingly troublesome. And so here is the article. It says how J.K. Rowling went from esteemed to problematic in just a few years. But what I love is that people have taken that slander and they have turned it into something empowering. This person tweeted out and said, just changed my bio to include problematic and increasingly troublesome. Problematic and troublesome women everywhere. You are awesome. And then hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling. It kind of reminds me of that quote where it's, well-behaved women never make history, or like the Jane Austen phrase, obstinate, headstrong girl, which I think Mr. Collins says in Pride and Prejudice. And And both of those phrases were turned into kind of rallying cries. And obviously, those are more feminist in nature.
Ew.
I do believe in original feminism, which is where men and women are on equal playing fields and where women do have opportunities, which we do have now. But I do love those phrases, and I love that they can be turned into something powerful. And that is clearly being done with this problematic and increasingly troublesome. And so you know what? I'll take that one on as well. I am also problematic and increasingly troublesome for many people on the internet, I am sure. And that's totally fine. I don't really care. And if you are as well, you should not care either. A new Harry Potter video game is set to be released on February 10th of this year, and it is already causing just a massive stir online because of its obvious connection to J.K. Rowling, head TERF of the world. We literally talked about this in an episode yesterday, which I think is actually coming out today, but I'm going to explain it again. If you don't know, TERF is a trans exclusionatory radical feminist, and that is what J.K. Rowling is. Basically, a TERF is just a woman who is like a second wave feminist and believes that women are women and men are men, and trans women are not biologically women, and they still support women's rights, biological women's rights. This is all just like common sense, and I can't believe that I'm explaining that this is something controversial, but in 2023 it is, and people hate J.K. Rowling for it. Anyway, the gaming community is torn up because this game looks incredible, but they don't want to support J.K. Rowling. We already talked about a streamer and the community manager for Limited Run Games who publicly expressed excitement about this game and then angered this random anonymous wokester with like 3,000 Twitter followers who then dug up all of her old tweets and found out that she was, oh my God, following right-wingers and got her fired from her job at Limited Run simply because she had expressed excitement about this game. People have been anticipating this game. This has been talked about for years now. And they are still losing their damn minds.
12 seconds later.
God, that's so cool. Ugh, it's so pretty. Am I going to become a gamer after this? I know that I talk about virtual reality in not the best light, and I don't really trust it, but I would kill to play this game with a VR headset on. Just saying. If that's possible, I will be doing that.
The choices you make now will define the legacy of Hogwarts.
I'm gonna get chills. This is like Pottermore on steroids. Did you guys play Pottermore? I was obsessed. Is it something that you play? I don't know. It was that website and you could do the sorting hat quiz, and then there was some kind of game, but it wasn't really in depth, but it was kind of like a taste of this. Now we're in like the full freaking thing. I'm excited. I don't know. It is PlayStation. I don't have a PlayStation, but I'll get one. I'll get one to play this. I'll figure it out. I do not play video games. I have maybe watched 3 video game trailers in my life, but that looks freaking cool. That is probably the best video game trailer I have seen out of the 3 that I have watched. All of it looks amazing. I love that they have the flying car in there. It makes me want to go buy a new car. The people on YouTube are very, very excited about the game. Like, I did not see a single negative comment. This trailer has 31 million views. It has been up for 2 years, so people have been anticipating this, and they're all so excited about it. So at first, I was like, I don't really see the controversy about this game. Like, I know people don't like J.K. Rowling, but everybody seems excited. Like, this person said, take all the time you guys need. Don't give in to publishers' time constraints. This could either be one of the best games of the decade or the biggest disappointment. Avalanche, don't fail us now. Again, because this game has been in the works for so long, people are wanting it to be perfect. Somebody else said, I'd honestly forgotten how magical and exciting the Harry Potter universe could make me feel. This looks like everything 12-year-old me could have dreamed of and more. I am so ready for this. Literally my feeling as I watched that trailer. Somebody else said, and now this is officially the most viewed game trailer in the PlayStation channel. Truly impeccable timing. Somebody else said, J.K. Rowling really created the most beautiful world. Harry Potter will always be one of the best book and film series. Absolutely. I agree. YouTube, you are based. Reddit and Twitter? Not so much. This is from some gaming subreddit. This person said, a friendly reminder from your mod team that this woman is a TERF, and anyone who pledges to support her monetarily is also a transphobe. That's just aggressive, but you know what? That's the libs for you. Somebody replied and said, that hideous creature on the right deserves no money. I started following this sub purely because of this post. Somebody else said I wasn't going to buy it anyway, but now I cannot buy it in a cool way. Passive activism, my favorite kind. That's just a very classic thing these days. Passive activism or like internet activism. People will scream online about these kinds of social justice warrior issues, but then in their day-to-day life, they're not actually doing anything. It would be one thing if you were yelling about these issues and you genuinely cared about them and you were genuinely fighting the good fight every day. okay? But you see them in their everyday lives and they could not give less of a shit. But online, they are willing to slander people, to cancel people, post all their angry infographics. Like, it is all for clout. All of it. You just want to feel good about yourself. Like this person said, he's saying the quiet part out loud. He wants to feel cool while being an activist. It is like a status symbol these days.
Notice me! No!
Somebody else said, don't give the CEO of Transphobia any more money than she already has, folks. Now it's like a Twitter. Somebody said, sigh, yes, I canceled my Hogwarts Legacy purchase, got too caught up in the hype, and then Rowling reminded me again why I just need to stop and close the book on Harry Potter for good. And then it's some J.K. Rowling tweet where she said, Merry Turf Miss, which is objectively, I think, very funny because she knows what people say about her and she's leaning into it. I appreciate her sense of humor. So ignoring the fact that buying Hogwarts Legacy provides financial gain for J.K. Rowling, who will use that money to continue her transphobic tirade, let's also acknowledge that the lead designer ran an anti-social justice YouTube channel and the game is wildly anti-Semitic. First of all, she's going to use that money to contribute her transphobic tirade. She literally already has so much money, extra money from this video game. It's really not going to change much, guys. Like, she's going to do what she's going to do. She is so rich, you cannot take her down. I'm so sorry to burst your bubble. But also, if the lead designer did actually run an anti-social justice YouTube channel, first of all, I would love to see it. I would love to watch those videos. That just makes me want to buy the game more.
Shut up and take my money!
Also, how are you saying that the game is wildly anti-Semitic? Where are you getting that from? You've never played the game. Are you just pulling that out of your ass because you want like a third stamp of like, this is wrong, I'm going to cancel it for this? Is Harry Potter then anti-Semitic? Is it anti-Semitic just because it's connected to J.K. Rowling, who is transphobic, so then it's like all intersectional? I don't know. If there really is a problem, let me know. But if not, you're just making things up. Somebody else said, people defending Hogwarts Legacy claiming they aren't transphobic or enablers, yet their follows and comment section look like a clan meeting in regards to trans people. Y'all aren't fooling anyone. Just admit a shitty looking game matters more to you than trans folks. It's not a shitty looking game. That was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. So sit down. It's not that big of a deal. It's a freaking game. Obviously, I'm excited about it. It looks cool. But oh my God, your panties are in a bunch over people buying a video game that is loosely connected to J.K. Rowling. Obviously, it's more than loosely because it's her franchise, but it isn't like she's sitting there designing the game. Give it up. I regained a little bit of hope because as I continued scrolling on Twitter, I saw more people saying the boycott Hogwarts Legacy is ridiculous than people actually calling for the boycott of Hogwarts Legacy. The same thing when I was Googling like mainstream media articles about it. It was like, really? No, there's like a few voices that are very angry about it and then everybody's just bickering, but a lot of people have common sense and they're saying, I really don't care, buy the game, don't buy the game. It's not saying that I'm transphobic for playing the game. I think that there are more people out there that are fine with it than not, and that is a white pill in my opinion. Like somebody said, don't buy Hogwarts Legacy, it's transphobic. Me after pre-ordering the deluxe edition, same. Somebody else said, nobody has any business telling other people what games to play. Been seeing you if you buy Hogwarts Legacy on Twitter lately. Such a narcissistic thing to try to dictate what other people buy/play. Buy and play whatever you want. Now I do want to say a lot of these tweets are from like a few days ago in January and some are even from December. Because this game has been anticipated for so long, there might be tweets that I'm missing from last year as this was all coming out, especially around times when J.K. Rowling has been trending for some of her comments. There might have been a more heated debate, but right now as we're getting closer to the release, people seem to be fine with it. So why are these people still wanting to die on this hill that if you do anything related to Harry Potter, you are transphobic? It's not. They're not connected that way. I'm so sorry. This girl tried to defend the game and then got slammed in her replies, but her original tweet actually has so much common sense. She said, people need to stop behaving like buying Hogwarts Legacy and being anti-trans rights are synonymous with one another. I just want to relive my beloved childhood memories and not everything has to be a huge political or moral statement. Thank you. I am not saying that everything that comes out in regards to entertainment and media and gaming has to be in line with my political values. I just don't want your political agenda shoved down my throat, just like you don't want my political agenda shoved down your throat. We have moved so far into this divisive, polarized society that we cannot just enjoy a video game, that all of us collectively cannot just enjoy our childhood nostalgia about Harry Potter. God, it's exhausting. Anyway, she did get torn up in the replies, and so she said, classic apology. I've gained a lot of perspective from this tweet blowing up. I apologize if it came off as disrespectful. I've decided to pirate the game if I decide to play at all. Okay. However, the point was, whether I pirate or buy it, my playing a game doesn't mean I relate to J.K. Rowling's opinions on anything. I'm glad that she is still defending herself slightly, even though she is kind of bending a knee, but she still is saying, I don't care. She continued on and she said, I also wasn't aware that she funds anti-trans organizations. All I was trying to say is that you don't become transphobic just by deciding to play a game. And it still strikes me as odd when people accuse others of transgenocide just for wanting to play a game. Did they accuse? I didn't see that comment, but if they're accusing her of transgenocide, then those people have problems. Those people need help.
Stop.
But you know what? Like, who cares? Because look at this. When you look up Hogwarts Legacy, release date Hogwarts Legacy, one of the first articles that comes up, Hogwarts Legacy is currently the best-selling game on Steam, and it is not even out yet. Upcoming open-world Harry Potter action RPG Hogwarts Legacy is currently the best-selling game on Valve's digital storefront Steam. I mean, the game is still winning. They are actively trying to make everybody feel awful for wanting to play this game, for wanting to relive all of their childhood memories and nostalgia. And you know what? I think that they're pretty outnumbered. Most of those people are from anonymous accounts. They're bitter. They are trying to make everybody else feel bad. They won't even show their face on their damn account. They have no followers, and they are just sitting in their rooms being keyboard warriors, trying to take all the common sense people down. And you know what? It's not working. So sorry to burst your bubble. So this is actually a big white pill episode because the game looks fantastic. The response of most people right now on Twitter is incredibly positive, and I think that that is a great thing. I'm glad that some people, at least, still value good creativity and solid entertainment over some social justice warrior agenda. It's a good day. It pleases me to say that J.K. Rowling is being controversial as ever. She is still angering people online by dropping truth bombs, which I absolutely love. This is especially heightened after the literal monumental release of Hogwarts Legacy, the new Harry Potter game, which, I mean, the game broke records everywhere. People are loving it, even though angry, soulless, sad people on the internet are trying to villainize everybody that even thinks about playing it. In fact, they are basically trying to villainize anybody that talks about Harry Potter, that remembers Harry Potter, that has a tinge of nostalgia about Harry Potter, because if you think about it at all, you are supporting J.K. Rowling and her trans, radical, exclusionary feminism, turfism, whatever you want to call it. But a Harry Potter cast member recently spoke out and did something that no one else in the cast has done in years. Support J.K. Rowling. Evanna Lynch, who played Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter series, recently gave an interview to The Telegraph, and she actually showed some common sense and decency, which of course means that people on Twitter are losing their damn minds. This is a post from Popbase. He said, Harry Potter's Luna Lovegood actress Evanna Lynch defends J.K. Rowling. Quote, I just felt that her character has always been one to advocate for the most vulnerable members of society. I do wish people would just give her more grace and listen to her. Imagine that! Listening to somebody who might have a different opinion than you. That's a crazy thing to do these days. I cannot believe somebody said that. It's absurd that that's something that is controversial and makes somebody trend on Twitter. Like, are you kidding me? My God. Now, in the interview, she first spoke about her long relationship with J.K. Rowling, which is something that I knew nothing about. Apparently, as a child who loved the Harry Potter books, Evanna wrote letters to the author, and in one, she told Rowling that she was battling anorexia, and they became pen pals of a sort, and J.K. Rowling told her that if she got treatment, and if she successfully battled her eating disorder, she could audition for the part of Luna. Well, she battled her anorexia, she auditioned, she got the part, the rest is history. Fast forward years and years later, Rowling starts tweeting about gender ideology. They're attempting to cancel her basically every month, and Lynch jumped in and tweeted a very long statement. Now, at the time, she was sympathizing with both sides of the issue. She said, I have a lot of trans friends, I understand that this is nuanced, but she just thought that the subject was a bit too complicated for Twitter. But she did want to give some support to J.K. Rowling. She said, here are my thoughts, sending love to all. And it's a very, very, very long statement. But in the end, her main point was reiterating her love and respect for Rowling. She said, that said, as a friend and admirer of Jo, I cannot forget what a generous and loving person she is. And I mean, she was absolutely torched in 2020 for this tweet and focusing on Rowling's humanity and how good of a person she is. It was so bad that she deleted her entire Twitter soon after. So this interview with The Telegraph is the first time that she is discussing this subject publicly since then. She said, quote, I was very naive when I was dragged into that conversation. I didn't even know there were two sides. I had a view of like good and bad. I do have compassion for both sides of the argument. I know what it was like to be a teenager who hated my body so much I wanted to crawl out of my skin. So I have great compassion for trans people and I don't want to add to their pain. I think that that is an incredibly important point that I don't want to gloss over, because obviously she is saying that she, wants to have compassion for trans people. But I also think that it's important to talk about the young women who, are going through puberty and hate their bodies so much, are so desperately insecure. Society tells them that, the best way to fix that is by chopping off their boobs, becoming trans. They also need to have compassion. Because it's really damn hard being a young person, especially in this digital age where everybody around you is totally fake and glossed up and airbrushed and everything. It's harder than it used to be. And as somebody who battled an eating disorder, she knows that firsthand. It obviously is a sort of different issue, but still that stems from deep insecurity and self-hatred. She goes on and she says, I understand being too triggered to be able to have a conversation. If you put me in a room with one of my doctors who treated me in the past, I would kick off. Like, I would want to scream and yell names. I do also think it's important that J.K. Rowling has been amplifying the voices of detransitioners. I love this. I had this impulse to go, let's all just stop talking about it. And I think probably I'm a bit braver now about having uncomfortable conversations.
I like her very much.
I just love that little 3-paragraph part. It is so good. She's talking about the insecurity and the vulnerability of children, how doctors have, mistreated and preyed upon patients in the past, her bravery, her growth about the entire thing. It's awesome. She then talked about cancel culture as a whole, which really pissed people off. She said during the height of the Troubles, the way of dealing with it was to kind of shut down people who disagree with you. And I do see a parallel in today's whole cancel culture thing. I just don't feel comfortable with this idea that if you don't like what people are saying, you silence them. I do think the next step is violence, really. I think it's a similar mindset. Now, people are incredibly angry that she is comparing anything to the Troubles War in Northern Ireland. But get this, Evanna Lynch was born in Ireland. She is Irish. If anybody should be making comparisons to a huge historical conflict in her own country, it would be her. And she's not far off. I don't know a lot about the Troubles War, but I do know things about global conflicts and that people are shut down as that's beginning. That's just looking at history. That's just using common sense. That's not the only example of this. There are so many patterns. If people would maybe take a few minutes to think about history, to remember what they learned in school, even though, that's kind of a toss-up considering that the only thing people learn in schools anymore is this kind of crap. But anyway, rather than addressing her comments or finding a way to debate or have any nuanced conversation, they are trying to shut her down because she brought up a controversial conflict. Classic. Not even thinking about the parallels she mentioned. And because they are trying to shut her down, they're just proving her point. It's ironic, really. Then, in talking about Rowling, she said, Lynch, who sent Rowling a copy of her 2021 memoir, said that she will always defend her character and would happily work on Potter projects again. Quote, these books formed me and J.K. Rowling inspired me. She inspires me still. I just felt that J.K. Rowling's character has always been to advocate for the most vulnerable members of society. The problem is that there is a disagreement over who is the most vulnerable. I do wish people would just give her more grace and listen to her. And apparently, nobody liked that. But that was the most nuanced and balanced statement I've heard on this subject in a long time. She expertly boiled down the issue. People are just trying to make themselves into victims. We are in a battle of who can victimize themselves the most, who can be the most marginalized person. That is the root of the issue. And she totally hit that. All she is saying is, hey, maybe we should have an actual conversation. Maybe it is okay to listen to somebody who you might disagree with. She did not come out against transgenderism. She did not proclaim herself a TERF like J.K. Rowling. All she is saying is that we should have some common decency and nuance on the subject, to not disregard all of the incredible things that Rowling has done and created because of this one issue. The internet apparently does not have the capacity to understand that. Somebody tweeted out and said, wow, I used to like her. I appreciate her story as how she became Luna, but she should have sat out of this conversation. J.K. Rowling doesn't need any more supporters or defenders. She needs to watch what she says every day. Literally proving her point. You don't like what she says, so you don't even want her to speak. Now, if somebody was coming out against J.K. Rowling, I'm sure you would be clapping like a damn seal. Have some consistency, please. Somebody else said, no, now I have to pretend that Luna is played by somebody else. Thanks, Evanna. You really joined the wrong side of choosing sides. Voldemort and Bellatrix should keep you in good company. Somebody replied to that tweet and said, she defended someone for something I disagree with. Fictional murderers and terrorists will keep her in good company. So freaking absurd. Why are you guys so pressed about freaking Harry Potter? Oh my God. Listen, I love Harry Potter as much as the next guy, but it is laughable to me that people are getting this triggered by a freaking fictional series that has wizards and witches and freaking flying cars. Somebody else said Evanna Lynch's name sounds like what Joanne Rowling would have named a white supremacist in one of her little wizard stories. Okay, go kick rocks. I don't give a shit. Somebody else said, in what universe is J.K. Rowling a white billionaire, one of the most vulnerable members of society? That's literally not even what she said. You could literally just read the quote that was in the pop-based tweet and that was being circulated in headlines, and you would understand that that's not even what she's saying. You didn't even need to read the entire article to get that was not the point of the quote. She is not the most vulnerable member of society. She is advocating for those people, you dimwit. Somebody else said, Evanna Lynch being a TERF like she didn't play the most gender fluid character I've ever seen is actually crazy. Hey, guess what? This might be a foreign concept to you, but it's called acting. You don't actually have to be the character. You can just play the character. Even though Hollywood these days prioritizes identity over being able to play a character, whatever roles Evanna Lynch plays doesn't dictate her values or vice versa. That's common sense.
Hasn't anyone heard of it?
Apparently not, though. I wanted to be excited and hopeful to share this story with you guys, but in the end, it's just made me upset. Evanna is asking for the bare minimum. She is speaking from her heart as a child who was confused and hurt by society and the doctors around her, and whose life was utterly changed for the better by this woman. And they are ripping her to shreds. Like, literally, the bare minimum. I am incredibly excited about her bravery, though, because I think it took a lot of guts to even stand up next to J.K. Rowling and support her. Even without getting into the issue itself, just aligning herself with J.K. Rowling is impressive in itself. That is something that should absolutely be commended, and I hope that she stands strong and does not apologize. It's been a few days since this happened, so I think we're looking good, but she should not give in to this vile mob. They do not deserve her apology in the slightest. We're doing a bit of a follow-up episode today, and I mentioned this story last week, but it was not official yet, so I wanted to hold off before diving into the comments.
The suspense is killing me.
But now it is actually official. There is another reboot coming.
What?
I've talked about so many reboots recently. There's another one. It's a Harry Potter series coming to HBO Max. Now, this is not a sequel. It is not a prequel. It is not a spin-off. It can't even be called like a reimagining, and they're bringing it into a new age because the last Harry Potter movie was literally released like 12 years ago. So they are literally just remaking Harry Potter, the book series, as a TV series. And it's going to be produced and released over the course of the next 10 years. If I am still talking about remakes in 10 years, God help us all. Please take me out. Now, here is the official announcement posted by HBO, and it has caused a lot of hubbub online, to say the least. Incredibly eventful. So that's literally it. There's no trailer yet. They are just announcing that this is happening. There are some rumors about who's going to be in the TV series, but nothing is confirmed yet. They haven't even started filming yet. It's all very new. Literally just 31 seconds with the Harry Potter logo. That is it. And nobody is happy. They're either upset because it's another reboot and they don't want to watch it, or because they think it's obviously transphobic. Somebody commented and said, do something new, don't reboot. Another person said, faithful, because the beloved, wildly successful and fan-adored movies weren't faithful. Talk about revisionist history. Who asked for this? Oh, right, shareholders and Zaslav asked for it. Another guy said, why?
Why?
Aren't the movies adaptations of the books? Tell new stories, not the same ones over and over. Connor, we wish it was that simple. Hollywood does not have the capacity to create any new stories. And I say that as somebody who loves Harry Potter. I say this as somebody who is probably going to watch this series because I just really freaking like Harry Potter, but that does not change the fact that I do dislike remakes on principle, and we need to move away from them, and Hollywood is just spiraling per usual. But then, of course, for other people, the reboot factor was the least of their concerns. Somebody said, you didn't need to so blatantly remind us that your owner is a raging homophobe and transphobe. We already knew that when you outright refused to promote any of your shows with queer characters. I'm canceling my subscription. You literally cannot say that HBO has not promoted their projects with queer characters when they literally produced Euphoria. It's one of the most successful TV shows probably of the last decade. It is incredibly gay. Like, come on. Another person said, people have such a weird obsession with this show. Very telling seeing who's actually an ally. Also, it's not a show yet. It's a book series. Try to read something for once. Somebody replied and said, oh, did you finally realize that there's a world outside of Twitter that doesn't care about your online slacktivist boycotts? This reminds me, I saw a comment from somebody saying, oh, I'm not ready to hear conservatives pretend that they like this TV show for the next 10 years just because they love J.K. Rowling. Like, excuse me? Like, I'm sorry. I'm not ready to hear the they-thems crying every time an episode is released for the next 10 years because they hate J.K. Rowling so much.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
And then they're going to cry about how the show is like moderately successful because everything involving Harry Potter is going to be moderately successful. Like, that is going to be the real annoying thing. Another person said, I'm sorry, but if your first reaction to the HBO Harry Potter series is anything but about J.K. Rowling's transphobia, racism, anti-Semitism, continuing to have a platform as she gets more money, stop pretending to give a shit about these marginalized communities. Every time I read one of those comments, it's like, did you feel good after you pressed tweet? Did you feel really good about yourself? Did you go back and like talk to your plants after that and you're really happy with yourself? Like, oh my God. Now, obviously, this discourse is huge on TikTok as well because every terrible thing finds its way to TikTok. But I thought that this video was particularly interesting. It was a stitch with somebody else.
As hardly anybody from the original film cast wants anything to do with her.
I actually think this last point is the actual reason that this reboot is really happening. Like, yeah, J.K. Rowling wants extra money and so does WB, but really, the thing is, WB tried to make a Cursed Child movie. They approached everybody. They said they went to Daniel Radcliffe, they went to Emma Watson, they went to Rupert Grint, they went to everybody they needed to make a Cursed Child movie with the original cast. And both Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson said, no, we're not doing it if J.K. Rowling is involved or makes a profit off of it. And J.K. Rowling has such an ironclad contract with WB that she has to be involved with basically anything they do with the property.
Rightfully so.
So because of that, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe were not going to sign on. Rupert Grint did. Let's not be mean to Rupert Grint. We have no idea if he signed on because he actually believes in anything J.K. Rowling believes, or if it's just because he's, an out-of-work actor who probably needs the money. But anyway, the point is, without Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson, Cursed Child movie couldn't happen. So Warner Brothers, being a desperate company run by an idiot, yes, I mean David Zaslav, they needed to do something with this franchise that they have sitting there, not making them any profits, and Fantastic Beasts was certainly not it, because those movies all tanked. So what did they do? They did the only thing they could do. They went to J.K. Rowling, they were like, hey, we need to make more Harry Potter things. And she said, great, let's do a reboot of the entire franchise as a TV series, because that way I can remove Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson from the franchise and I never have to worry about them again.
Like, why are you angling it as if they're trying to kick Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson out? They don't want anything to do with her, apparently. You just said they didn't want to do Cursed Child, and now you're saying, oh, it's all about getting them out of the way. Like, which one is it? I do not think it's that personal. Like, J.K. Rowling has said that she still loves those kids. She has no animosity towards them. It's them that do not want to work with her anymore. Now, clearly, I love Harry Potter. I just said that. And I'm a fan of J.K. Rowling, number one, because I love the world that she created. Number two, because of her beliefs. But if this is the actual reason that this is happening, or even part of the reason that this is happening, they should have just taken the failed Cursed Child project as a sign and just maybe ended it there. Like, she's making a ton of money with the new video game. I just don't see the need to fully reboot this. And I don't think it's as personal as people are making it out to be. And obviously not because I hate the world of Harry Potter or anything like that, because I am genuinely exhausted of the reboots and the remakes and the reimaginings. Like, on principle, we need to end these. They're stupid. Now, HBO had to know that there would be backlash because obviously J.K. Rowling is involved and she's kind of the most hated woman on the internet most days. And in their defense, they have actually handled it really well.
Shots. We're all shocked.
Which in other words just means that they have not caved to the annoying chronically online mob. And when questioned about J.K. Rowling's involvement in the series and what that means for progress and representation and how they're going to fight against her transphobia and all that stuff, the HBO chief of content said, no, I don't think that this is the forum to discuss that. That's a very online conversation, very nuanced and complicated, and not something we're going to get into. Our priority is what is on the screen. Obviously, the Harry Potter story is incredibly affirmative and positive and about love and self-acceptance. That is our priority, what's on screen. In terms of the TV series, Rowling simply stated, Rowling will be involved. She's an executive producer on the show. Her insights are going to be helpful on that. So, even though I think it is stupid that they are doing a remake, like I think that it's stupid that every remake happens, that's an objectively very good statement. He basically said that all of that is chronically online discourse. He basically said, go kick rocks, that they care about the story, which is what they should care about, and that they are involving J.K. Rowling as they should because she created this world. It is stupid that she has been pushed out of this thing that she created just because 1% of the population has made everybody think that she is this villain trying to kill trans people, which she is not. Like, he literally did not even throw these people a bone, which I love. Like, that is the way to handle it, and he royally pissed people off, which only makes me happier. Like, one person said, can some of the proceeds from the new work be donated to the trans community that is so attacked by the author of Harry Potter? Come on, HBO Max. J.K. Rowling is already too rich. Oh yes, just to the trans community. Just reparations because of J.K. Rowling. That's gonna work. I also love that they call her too rich. Like, watch her get richer and weep. We'll all enjoy that. I do not care if she gets richer. That'll be great for all of us. And per usual, J.K. Rowling is unbothered which is just the best. And she seems really excited about the project, which obviously only makes people even angrier. But in a press conference, she said, Max's commitment to preserving the integrity of my books is important to me. She noted that the series will be a faithful adaptation, and she said she's looking forward to being part of the new adaptation, which will allow for a degree of depth and detail only afforded by a long-form television series. Somebody commented and said, just a friendly reminder that J.K. Rowling is basically the leader of the transgenocide campaign, but sure, enjoy your precious Harry Potter at the expense of trans lives. Thanks HBO Max for showing your true f***ing colors. Like, literally get a life. None of you guys know what is going on. This like elusive, mysterious genocide that like, oh my God, really? Get offline. You are all chronically online. Now, I know I've been ragging on the remake on principle, and that's something that we talk about on the show a lot, but Rowling's statement and this next comment that I'm going to read to you made me think about it in a different light, which is always a good thing, so I want to share it to you. This guy said, 70% of the story was left out of the original films. I don't think any of you understand how much more complete the story will be with all the details filled in. All they have to do is find good actors and actresses, not the new norm of Disney-level kid actors, real actors, and not TikTok influencers. Dear God, please, if Dixie D'Amelio ends up in this show, I'm gonna lose my mind. Obviously, yes, this is a remake. Do I think that HBO could be making a more innovative and, new creative projects? Yes, absolutely. And I do still see this as a bit of a cop-out. However, objectively, it is a huge artistic undertaking, and this person is right. You do have to cut out a lot of things in books when you are adapting it for a movie, which is why I prefer limited series adaptations over movies. So maybe this thing will be great. It's still the same story, but maybe it's fun. And do I think that you should just pick up the books and read them if you want to get all the details? Yes. But I wanted to show you a different opinion because that's always very important. Maybe it will be cool, guys. Only time will tell. We've got 10 years to figure it out. About a year ago, I feel like we were talking about J.K. Rowling all the time. There was so much in the news with her. She was reacting to Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? She was getting in debates with people. Hogwarts Legacy was coming out. Like, no matter what she does, she makes people screech and cry and throw up. They're triggered. It's awful. And even if she hasn't said anything on a particular day, people still have this response to things that she is simply connected to, like new parts of the Harry Potter franchise. Like when Hogwarts Legacy came out, people literally got canceled and fired for playing the game. A woman literally got fired for saying that she was excited to play Hogwarts Legacy. We did a whole episode about it. We can link it below. It was a wild, wild story. It just goes to show how insane people are about J.K. Rowling. But most people's anger towards J.K. Rowling is based on what other people have told them. And sadly, her name is now synonymous with being a bigoted transphobe simply because people have regurgitated that for years. However, one teacher online is breaking through all of this noise, and he's going viral for his absolutely masterful dissection of this.
It was perfect. Perfect.
And we need to watch. So first of all, what I just said about J.K. Rowling being a confirmed bigoted transphobe in the eyes of the mob is an example of elusive truth. And I think that is such an important concept to cover before we dive into the story. And I know what you guys might be thinking, Brett, I did not come to watch your video to go to school, to be, lectured at. Just stick with me for like 2 minutes because I promise it is connected to what we're about to talk about.
You're gonna learn today.
I pulled this definition from the Decision Lab, and they wrote, what is the illusory truth effect? The illusory truth effect, also known as the illusion of truth, describes how when we hear the same false information repeated again and again, we often come to believe that it is true. Troublingly, this even happens when people know better. That is, when people initially know that the misinformation is false. Relevant? Much? Guys, this is literally how our current media landscape works. We read the same inflammatory headlines from all news sources. We never read deeper into the articles, and suddenly, in our brains, those inflammatory headlines are just the truth. Another example is how publications will publish literal slander and outright lies, and they will leave it up long enough for people to read the articles, to read and absorb the false information, or until they get caught. And then, maybe a year later, after they've been sued, they will quietly put a little correction at the bottom of the article. But no one sees that. They don't publicize that. They don't say, hey, we were wrong, we lied to you. Obviously, they don't do that. So the public doesn't know how often it occurs. They've been lied to. They absorb these lies. The media corrects it. Nobody knows. It happens every single day.
Did I do that?
I mean, it's literally rotting our brains. And you guys might have heard the quote, if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. But what you might not know is that it is attributed to Joseph Goebbels, who was Hitler's Minister of Propaganda. That was literally his title. Paul Joseph Goebbels was a German philologist and Nazi politician who was the Gauleiter of Berlin, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party, and then Reich Minister of Propaganda from 1933 to 1945. His job was to lie to the public, to make people fall in line for Hitler and grow to hate the Jewish people. He was a master manipulator, and it is horrifying what he did and what he was able to make people believe and do. And that makes that quote all the more sinister because he knew what he was doing. They all knew what they were doing, obviously. But that quote, even though it's horrifying considering the context, still stands. And this guy would know because those tactics were effective and they are still effective today. And a perfect example of this is the lies about J.K. Rowling. For instance, back in January, Discussing Film, who I often reference on the show when we're talking about Hollywood and new remakes, whatever, they posted this about the new Harry Potter series. Known transphobe J.K. Rowling is now reported to be an active executive producer on the Harry Potter series where she will be involved in the show's decision-making. Oh, horrifying. People in the comments were so triggered and upset. No explanation. Just known transphobe stated as a fact. Because in everybody's minds, that is a fact. No one questions this, but they obviously should. And one teacher is doing just that, and a video of him dissecting these lies and facts about J.K. Rowling is going viral for all the right reasons. Let's watch.
So these guys want to talk about J.K. Rowling? Is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? And, like,
so let's get specific though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
So 25 seconds in, and he's already saying, so what bigoted opinions? And I'm so excited because when you ask people those types of questions, like, so what did Trump actually do that makes you so angry? What did Trump actually say that is so racist, bigoted, homophobic, whatever? They don't know. Well, one of my friends said, well, CNN, I read something somewhere for sure. They don't know. They literally cannot tell you. They are just sure that he is a bigoted transphobe. They are just sure that J.K. Rowling is bigoted.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
she has had a history of being extremely transphobic. I've heard.
That's where it comes in. At least he's self-aware.
Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find something.
See if you can find one.
Already, he has no idea. Maybe I'll find something I've heard. I think if you look on Twitter, you go look on Twitter, find it, and he does.
One of these tweets that she came out with in 2019, she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
So you find that bigoted?
So you find that bigoted? Nothing in that tweet was bigoted. Literally, she started out the entire tweet by being incredibly inclusive. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. I don't care. But what's happening to women who stand up for other women is wrong. Completely missing the first part.
It was deemed transphobic. I myself...
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
That was so important. The self-awareness there. I don't know if it was actually self-awareness or whether it was just like some kind of Freudian slip and he didn't know what he just said. Well, I've heard, I don't really know. People have just told me. You just admitted that what you said at the beginning was a lie. Her known bigoted opinions.
Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze the tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic?
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no.
Oh, so we went from she is bigoted. That's a fact. Let me find one of her bigoted tweets. Here you go. Dunk. Oh, actually, no, I don't find that transphobic at all. We're 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. That's all it took to think through what you are reading and what you are thinking, what you are being taught to think.
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something.
And that's fine. That's important. It is important to be able to look at a piece of content, a piece of literature, something going on in the world and say, I can understand why some people might be upset because of their worldview. Like this mob, they're going to be upset about this. And you can acknowledge that and then also look from your own point of view and realize, I actually don't think that's bigoted. I actually don't think that's transphobic. You should be able to dissect content and literature and language from all different sides. That's important.
There's an apology tweet
Let's read that. What did she say there? I haven't read that.
I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans.
That is so transphobic. That is just the worst. So true, guys. She really is a bigot. God, she's just the worst.
At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so no, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying.
Also, I don't even see that as an apology. It's basically the exact same tweet written in a different way. I respect you. You're an adult. However, that's not changing my opinion. That's not an apology. Does this kid even know what an apology is? I worry about the young people.
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay though, but this is why we do this, to learn how to think.
That last point that he made is going back to the question, because if you are framing your question in a way that is biased or not founded on critical thinking, your premise is all screwed up. You're not going to be able to get a thoughtful, intelligent answer because you're already coming at it from a bias, with an illusion of truth. The questions that you ask are just as important as the answers that you are trying to obtain, or the truth that you are trying to seek. And I love that he included that at the end, because I think that is something that a lot of people are missing in classrooms. Now, the guy who posted this video on Twitter, he said, the world is crying out for more teachers like this. It gives me hope. I mean, seriously, yes. And I've said this before, but to you amazing teachers who are sticking it out when everybody is leaving, I genuinely commend you. I know I talk a lot of crap about the education system, but I seriously commend you, because having this type of patience and having these types of dialogues with your students, if you're doing that, is so, so important. It is so crucial. Another person commented and said, an educator actually educating. Truly refreshing to watch. There's a difference between educating and indoctrinating. Teaching students how to think and how to question rather than teaching them what to think. That distinction is so important, but obviously has become very convoluted. And it's kind of sad that this video is something that is worthy of praise and going viral, because this should be, and once was, the norm. I wish that I could watch this and go, oh yeah, just another great teacher. This is what happens in classrooms every day around the world. It does not. Another person said, this is excellent Socratic method, not used enough. I love the Socratic method. That is why I wanted to be an English major from the beginning, because I loved this kind of dialogue. Oh, this comment was fantastic. And this all ties back into what we talked about at the beginning with the illusion of truth. This person says, I wonder how old the student is. His ability to read aloud with fluency and meaning and then go on to understand what's been written seems woefully weak. This, I guess, is why students simply repeat what they've been told. It's a fascinating few minutes. All of this is tied together. Our literacy rates are tanking, and many critical thinking skills go out the window when you can't even comprehend what you're reading, if you can't even read the words that are in front of you. Mix that with propaganda and noise on repeat 24/7 from the media and from your teachers, who you're supposed to look at as authority figures. No wonder we're here. No wonder this is what our socio-political cultural landscape looks like. I also love this comment, kind of in the same vein. This guy said, I'm reminded of a line from PJ O'Rourke. If you guys don't know who he is an amazing satire writer. He wrote a lot about politics. His books are hysterical. Go look him up. He died a few years ago, but his books have stood the test of time. Incredibly relevant. Go read them. His quote is, if they thought about it for a second, they'd realize how ridiculous that is. It's the fact that they don't think about it for a second that's troubling. Exactly. That's why I said halfway through the video, it took him 2 minutes and 30 seconds to realize what he said was absurd and that he actually agreed with what J.K. Rowling was saying. The regurgitate, never question. That's what caused this to happen. And it is seriously scary stuff. I have parents all the time comment on videos or DM me and they say, okay, so you attack the education system. We get that. What can we do instead? If we're homeschooling our kids, if we're pulling our kids out of schools, how do we keep our kids from turning out like the kids in the videos that you show on your videos, like these robots on TikTok? You need to read with them. Read everything. Make them read, and please focus on reading comprehension and then critical thinking after that, because they need to be comfortable stopping to think and questioning everything. I remember sitting with my mom and we'd be reading a history textbook or just some novel that she had picked up, and it was like every 3 lines. What do you think that meant? Why is the character doing this? I mean, it was aggravating at the time, but that level of detail and that annoyance to me at, 10 years old is paid off, because I do question everything. You need to teach them how to break down the news. You have to teach them media literacy after that. But all of that starts with literacy and critical thinking. And we need that more than ever.